not so interested in that, probably, yes, but events and fancy things, fancy sermons and worship and preaching. And when this was the most important thing for me. But politics, really was not interested. I think it has nothing to do with Christianity. But during my SPCW, I get really interested in politics, and I understood that actually it's our commandment, or it's our mandate to do politics. And I try to explain you why and where does it comes from. But so today, when I'm speaking with politicians together or staying with politicians together, today actually I have a meeting with the MPs, and so talking with them, then my heartbeat is going up. It's somehow, I'm really exciting today, but I think it's also hard, because as a politicians to bring Christianity in here in the West, it's not so easy. So you have to be political correct. Political correctness is the word, that you say something but you mean something different. I mean, that's often what we hear from politics. Or a good politician is somebody who can say a lot and mean nothing. Or yeah, speak a long time and didn't say something, and people listen to him. That would be the gift of a politician. But actually, politics out of the Bible is something really, really different. And so I have the privilege to go with you now through this. And so we want to have a discussion. Please, if you have questions, and please let me know. We will do some research, and of course we have a group work then where you can find out what they say by yourself in your country. Really, the most thing that we want to do here is really I want to give awareness of the Christianity has to do something in politics, but also help you to understand a bit more the political system that current are in our world here. So, okay, thank you very much for listening. And so, yeah, please, anytime when you have a question, then please let me know. You can have a question from Ibadan or Kochi. And actually, the good thing is after tomorrow, we will also have Malawi with us. Because in Malawi, probably you heard that there is a cyclone, and it was a huge destruction, especially in this part of Malawi where we are. And so they closed everything, so they have no time in the morning for the lecture. That's a good thing for us, but actually it's a really bad thing, because a lot of people died, hundreds of people in the district where we are, and more than 10,000 people lost their home, and it's really dramatic. So yeah, but I will start now with I say these topics, the view on politics, and of course from a biblical Christian worldview. And so what we learned in the UFN is always we should think what is the outcome. Not just we say a lot of information, we always have to think what is the outcome, what should you learn, what should you know in the end. So I do that here in the beginning, and when I'm not did that in the end, then you can kill me. No, I want to be accountable to that, but one thing is be able to explain that God made us to bring order, and we will come to the politics means actually bring order. So that's actually a mandate from God. Be able to explain that Christianity is the foundation of our political system. So the most of the people don't know that what we have in democracy, separation of power, and all of the thing is historically grew out of Christianity. So another one is be able to explain the connection between the Bible and the political system today. So this is my assumption that you can do that. Be able to explain how a political system works. That's not then a bit After that, we also want to learn how does it work, is the difference between a monarchy and a republic, and so on. Then be able to explain the political system in your country. That's then also in your assignment. Explain what is working, what is not working, why you have this system. Be able to explain what kind of different political systems are doing. So to understand the difference between the different systems. Okay, this is my assumption. This should be the output in the end, and you can have me comfortable with that. Also, my first question to you: what is the difference between a politician and the actor? Do you want to know it? The actor is paid poorly for his great performance, and the politician is paid well for his poor performance. It's just a joke, but here, what is going to your mind if you hear the word politics? I mean, that's for me now the biggest question. When probably you say, I'm absolutely not interested in politics. Could be, and actually you cannot change that. If you tell people you have to be interested in politics, they will not change. But what's going through your mind when you hear the word politics? So please talk to your neighbor quickly. Ask him, what do you understand under the word politics? What's going through your mind?
You have a good neighbor.
So you can take the closest neighbor. Yeah, please say it.
What do you think about politics? The word politics.
As you kind of said, the political show, the appeasement, the promises that that I think most people want to keep, but they aren't able to keep them for various reasons. So, I mean, there's a lot more than that, but yeah, people try to do things, but they definitely can't do them. So it's kind of more of a show.
So what is politics for you when you think about politics? That comes into your mind first.
Sorry, are you asking him specifically? It's a business. I mean, there are people who are in for it, for real, but a lot of people are just in it for money. And even the people who are in it for real, I mean, it is a business.
I think for me, when I think about politics, the first thing that comes into my mind is power. And power, and it's like they're really powerful. They have all this power in their hands that they can change, make it or break it. So that's one thing that comes into my mind, which is actually obviously wrong thought, because usually when you look at the politics, it should be serving instead of power. Yeah, but that's something that comes into my mind.
Yeah. Basically, I think the politics just.
Okay, we can probably summarize. Catherine, your handwriting is nice. Can you?
Oh yes, of course.
So what is coming to your mind, and you can shout, and Finn is writing it down. So what's come to your mind? I mean, not the teaching what it should be, or so what you already learned in the school. Not just what comes to mind first when you hear the word politics. Give me a word. Debate. Okay.
Comes into my mind, power.
Power. What did you say?
Influence.
Influence.
Corruption.
Corruption. Yeah, corruption. So you would say it's a bit more negative or positive when you talk about politics?
Negative.
Negative? No. Probably more negative. When they anyway do what they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear often this point from Ibadan or Cochin that you have some shout outs.
Power, scramble for power.
Yeah, power, we already had that. You can write it as scandal. You say scandal.
A struggle for power, he said.
Struggle or struggle for power, yeah. Yeah.
They make some promises which they don't fulfill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, yes. But so it's more a bit a negative feeling about politics. So it's not so meaning the church think Jesus and yeah love and so and then politics is always a bit I think so contradiction. But thank you. Put this yeah. So politics has actually a bad understanding or some reputation, or and often as Christians, I was in my church grew up. So I mean politics. When you were in politics, then I mean Christian politics is really hard to put together.
Mm.
So I heard once this slogan here. Politicians should take care of their people and not their next elections. I know. I mean, especially America, they say that they need 2 years. They need preparation for their elections instead of ruling a country. But anyway, or see, every politician has a promising career. Unfortunately, most of them do not keep those promises. This is actually probably true because for when you want to be elected, you give a lot of promises that actually you cannot fulfill anyway. I mean, it's more a bit probably the system more the problem than the politicians itself. Here, of course, a politician's promise isn't worth than paper it's written on. Probably heard that negative. Or here, do you know this guy?
Boris
Freeman? Is you
Johnson.
there?
Hi, Boris.
Is it you?
Boris Johnson.
I promise you. We know this word from Donald Trump, and so. No, actually, I mean, actually, can they really, when they promise something, can they really hold it? I mean, it's almost impossible. It's not just that they don't do what they say, it's probably they cannot do what they say. And they say too much, that's more the problem. But anyway, do you know this guy?
It's a shark, right?
Yep.
Who is it?
Yep.
Yeah, Rishi Sunak, and where he's coming from?
India.
Original, India. Yes, he is. Yeah, he's an Indian immigrant.
Yeah, he is.
No, he is.
He has Indian origin parents, but he is not an Indian. But his wife is an Indian.
But see, he is also a very poor guy, or he's a very poor guy. Is he? No, it's one of the richest.
Yep.
Guy. Okay, and this is always, I think, one of the richest prime minister. And I don't know what you think about that. But prime minister, do you know what the word prime minister means?
First servant?
Yeah, first servant.
Yeah,
And so what is his first servant? What's the meaning of first servant? Where is it coming from? What do you think?
Jesus.
It's Jesus. Of course, there are books. It's really clear it's from Jesus because we should act, Christians should act like Jesus. And probably, or another word is politics is not about power, it's about people. So, I mean, that's probably a view from the Bible, and you know this here from the Bible. This is a statement from Jesus Christ. It shall not be this way among you, or I mean that you want to be the best. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be your servant again. But this is the biblical Christian view, actually, and therefore, let's come back to British Sunak. Prime Minister, it was in the Reformation time that they came to the name Prime Minister. That actually the one who is leading the country is not the ruler, he is the servant. Prime Minister. And I think that's a biblical Christian view, but often it's not understood. Here we heard yesterday from was it Markus who said that, or was it?
It was
Jürgen?
Jürgen, yeah.
Or I mean, the politicians should stay. It's a pyramid like this, upside down, and the leader is on the bottom and not on the top. So the leader is carrying the members of the parliament and in the end the citizens. So he's serving them, and not the citizens are serving the leader. What we often see in our diagrams or organigrams, that the leader is on the top and the people serving the leader, but actually the leader should serve the people. And when we look at it from this side, then who wants to become a politician of you? Everybody.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We want to be servants. That's our calling, to be servants for helping people. But this is something that we have to twist in our political system. And I know, because I am in, how hard it is. Because politics is really about, hey, be political, nice, political correctness. You have to be famous. You need power. You have to find you need money or for winning the election and all of that. And this is sometimes very hard. But the idea of God is this picture: be a servant leader. A politician, yeah, we already had that. So let's look where this word politics is coming from. So politics is from the Greek word polis, and it was actually the district. Also, this is Athens. So Greek county was the first county divided in polis. It was not centralized. It was divided in polis. So Athens, Sparta, and Corinth, different. There were just own districts. They were governed by themselves, and they called polis. It coming from the word they make order in the city, and therefore it was called polis, and politics is coming from this word. So actually, politics means not just govern a city. So polis, it means first you have to govern yourself. So politics means also, hey, have you order in your life? Have you order with do you know who you are? Do you know what is the purpose of life? Do you have freedom in you? And is your life in order? Do you clean your teeth every evening? And and yeah, eat healthy, you do sports, and all of these things. I mean, this has all to do with politics, to govern yourself. And also, I mean, in your family, you need to find a system in your family. So how you treat your children, how you treat your wife, when do you go to bed, when it's time out for your children, no more internet. So I have an app where I can stop the internet, or it's all regulated, it's turned down on a certain time. But you need some regulations. So for every family it's different, but you need some. If you have nothing, then you have a chaos. So you need in your family. This means politics. And so if you cannot govern yourself, you should not think about having a family. If you're not govern your family right, then you cannot govern the community. And the community, like we are here in Wawamila, that's the next level. Or first govern yourself, govern family, govern the community. It also, that means actually politics. Or then in govern a business, first you have to do it yourself, family, and then a business. When you not can handle your family, I mean, the Bible is telling us, then you should not handle a church or not handle a business. And then you, of course, handle a nation. And this is what we often understood under politics. We are handling a nation. And but first, politics start by yourself and not by being a nation. And I think that's the biggest problem. People govern a nation who are not able to govern themselves or govern their family. Yes, Catherine.
Is it true that quite often you don't know that you can't govern parts of yourself until you have power? Just like when you're in a position of power, there are all of these things that come up that you didn't know that you had to. Yeah.
I would say yes. I mean, you learn and things coming out that you didn't know before. But what you know, you should govern. I mean, that there are obviously things in your life that you know you should do and probably not do, and as long you cannot do that, but you not know our weaknesses, blind spots, and all of that. Of course, it will come out when we are under pressure. That's marry and have children, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Then things will come out that you didn't discover before. And in the end, it's a global, like Benjamin Levy, who was there on the UN level and globally, but we often see this just blah blah blah. But it's very important to talk and look Ukraine and now this collaboration with the West and Russia and all this needs talks, and this needs some guidelines and I mean this is really important, and I think it has a lot to do with our mandate as a Christians to serve people. So politics is actually, when it's come to the global level, one of the biggest what you can do to serve really whole communities. And as more as you go up, like our nation, you cannot say, and even in business, you cannot say, yeah, I mean, we look for the Christian and the Muslims I don't look for. I mean, you have to become able to have a big heart for all and integrate everybody. You cannot distinction between Christians and non-Christians. So, and see, this is really servanthood. Really serve people without looking what is the best for you. And I mean, so therefore, I really want. I hope I will become a politician, and because about my main point is I want to become a servant for the people. And I learned that I was already now for 10 years. I was a president of a party, and I could learn. I did a lot of mistakes. I had a lot of fights in the thing, but I say, see, I don't want to run away. I want to learn to serve the people. Even I not agree with them, even it's hard, I want to serve. It's not about me, it's about God, and I want to serve people. And this is politics. It's need a lot of understanding God. It's not about you, it's about serving people. And this is what I want to talk about this week. And when you look as well, some Bible scripture, in the beginning was the Word. The word is, the Greek word is logos. Probably you know that. Also, it's when you look, what means the Greek word is the mandate to bring order. God, in the beginning, He divided heaven and sky. He brought order in a chaos, or there was the chaos, or we talked about the world. What means the word world? It's order, or it's chaos, or it's disorder. So God's view is to bring order in the world, and He created you to logos, the mandate of bringing order in the world, like Jesus Christ did it, to make a garden out of the jungle, to really direct the river that you don't have floods anymore. Like we heard yesterday from from Jürgen, this is probably political absolutely incorrect when you say the Dutch said no, we can have more land, and they made more land, and but now they are on the sea level. But with climate change, what does it mean? Was it really wise or not? But I think it was wise. It was wise, and the Dutch would be so clever to find a solution again. but this is govern the world, or bring politics, bring order into the world. In the disorder, it's this mandate was from the beginning there. So, or here is just a scripture. For God is not a God of disorder, but of peace. And we see that disorder and peace has something to do with one another. When you have disorder, then you don't have peace. But when you have order, then you will have peace. And also to have peace and freedom and all this, what we all want, we need order. Without order, we not will receive all of that. So probably, can somebody read that? I mean, this is something that I think everybody of us wants.
Imagine a world where children can play in peace with food, stomach, and hope for a good future. Where children can go to school and people find fulfilled work. A nation where people are safe and there is peace. Where people are not afraid of theft, abuse, and murder. A safe life where people know that tomorrow comes the same. Their investments are not in vain. What they do is meaningful and lasts for generations. They enjoy the goods in creation, smell his fresh air, drinks his drinks his fresh water, and enjoy the healthy products. They go to bed fulfilled, satisfied, and safe, full of energy and with the hope of continuing to build their nation tomorrow, because they know all what they do is not in vain.
Yeah, I mean that's not from the Bible. I wrote that, but it's more so. I mean, give a vision. That's our vision we want to have, and we all would agree with that what is written here, or all of them would agree. The Green Party, the Right Party, everybody, Donald Trump, and probably Putin as well. But the question is always this: how we get there. That's the. As a first of all, we as politicians or we as people in on every leadership position, we need to give a vision. Is it in our family? It's in for ourselves. We need a vision for a business, for everywhere. But the question is we will not talking now about vision. We will talk now about how you come there. And this is the problem. The vision often we have the same somehow, and especially what I said here, it's not directly connected with your faith or so. I try to write here common vision that all can embrace. But now how we get there? So I think first we have three required things for having a nation when we think about a nation, but this would be also for other spheres. But first, we need people. When you not have people, and you cannot build up a nation. Secondly, you need land. And thirdly, you need a law. So we will not talk so much about the people, about the land, but about the law. And this would be the order. And I think these are the three, you need that when you want to talk about a land, about a nation. And you have to think, who are your people, what do they believe, and so on. And you need the land, so what's the land, property, but you need also to say what is the order, what is the law, what is holding us together. And this, I think, it's the most difficult thing in all. So, and a lot of people are disagreeing with one another. So, but from where is it coming from? From where is the law coming from? So I would say there are 4 options. Option number 1 is does it, is a question, does it is a natural law? I mean, this would be Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Probably, who read Jean-Jacques Rousseau?
I know him.
Well, he say, this natural law. He say, I mean, there's actually, he said that there's no sin. Yes, there is no Bible. Also, there is a Bible, but there is no sin. Actually, we all know what to do because it's a natural law, and we just have to find the natural law. We're all good by nature. We say that, and therefore the problem is we are not good because people made us not good. Authorities made us not good. So when we take all the authorities away, everybody can find the natural law deep in him. So this would end in anarchy.
Yes.
Or when everybody's doing what he wants to do, we know that from history. Still people believe that today, and there are anarchists who are living together and think like this. But actually, we need a law, and the law has to be outside of us. And when just everybody can do what you want, I think it didn't function in history and will not function today. Does it comes from an anointed man? Or I mean, this was before Reformation. Was this the view, or that the Pope was the anointed man, and he tell you what is right and wrong? Or in a nation, it was the king. And even before Jesus Christ was, before the Greeks, they came out with a new model of politics. But before the Greek, it was really clear it was the chosen king, also I mean the anointed king, and he was then like the God who tell what is right and wrong, and he could tell everything what he wants. It's called a monarchy, and I think this ends in a dictatorship, when somebody really is the one who can say what is right. Or another one is, does it come from wise people, aristocracy? And this is actually what the Greek system, as the democratical system, was more aristocracy, because most of the people had not access to this democratical system. But so some wise people, they will come to a good solution. But in the end, the Greek idea collapsed because they didn't have a human right. There was nothing over them. There was still a few chosen people who choose everything, but they could be wrong, or they looked for themselves. And in the end, it was just a blaming game between who is the better speaker than the other, and who can convince other in a better way. But it's actually, it also didn't help. So the last one, I would say, does it come from the people, majority? This is from a secular point of view. Okay, we say democracy is the best system, so the majority should decide. The majority was living in a country. So it's not about education, not about everybody's part of it, and then in the end, the 51% win. Then let's come to the first statement that we find in the written is the Gilgamesh epoch. You epic, you know that. And he wrote this. Or can somebody read that?
Ruler Gilgamesh wants to build an invincible wall around his city of Uruk. Most of all, he wants his subordinates to be like working machines without any needs that only take a break when exhausted in order to regenerate quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this is from a rule and how you treat your subjects. And subjects is every way really bad word, or subordinates. I don't think this will help. Or what does somebody wants to live in such a political system? I mean, that's slavery, or the Egyptians did that, and a lot of others, and actually as well the British and the West had slaves. So. But so we need actually this balance between freedom and order. When we have too much order, then it's not good. Or who wants to have just order? Nobody of us. Or we need freedom. And so this was the big debate in the world. I mean, when you have When you have just one, you bring order, and too much order, then people are no more free. And then you have like everybody can say something, and there is too much freedom, then you have a chaos. So this was the big debate in history, and this is not just for a nation; it's for families, it's for business, it's for organization like we are. When you have too much order, then people are not free, are not creative. It's not good. And when you have too much freedom, then you have a chaos, and everybody's doing what he wants to do. So this actually belongs to every sphere of society. But now I would say that was the turning point in history. 500 years ago in Reformation, the fear of God has enabled to live in freedom and order. I explain it to you. Let's say, Joel, you are a butcher, and Graham is a farmer. So Graham is bringing his cow to Joel for slaughtering, and then he look to Joel and say, "Hey Joel, give me then all the meat back, and not take some meat in your pocket." Or and as well, Joel looking to the farmer, to Graham, and say, "Hey Graham, if you give me the cow, then bring me the 1 year old or the 2 year or whatever, but not the old one, and the good one for the good meat." So and it's problematic. So he say that to you, but how can you make sure that you do it?
Well, we can come to an agreement or a deal.
Yeah, but that's so good. We can write it down, but does it make sure that you do it?
No.
Not necessarily. So how can you make 100% sure that you are doing it? Yes.
Send someone with him to make sure that he
Send someone in with him. That's good. Yeah, but Robert Graham is very smart. He's very smart. Anyone is very smart. Probably he cheats the controller, and he's looking, and then in the end he gives him the other cow and make some. People are really creative in this way. So Graham, how can you make sure that Joel is not cheating you, that he is giving you all you need?
Oh, you can.
Yes, I could weigh the cow beforehand. I could take something as collateral, perhaps, give him some buy-in or something to the deal. I don't know exactly the point you're going for, I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it's just a pragmatic way. Also, you can send a controller to him, you can...
Keep an eye on him, yeah.
But what we do in such a case, or we say, beginning, you need a law, you need a written law, you need a contract, you need then a controller, and you need the controller who control the controller. And in the end, you need a lawyer who makes the debate. And so, I mean, it costs a lot of money. In the end, it costs more money for all these regulations than actually the meat. And this is often happen in a nation. Or, I heard it from Landekop. She said, when a nation you can measure how much fear of God is in a nation according to how much law a nation has. And so but now the point, the Graham and Joel, you're sitting in the same church. And the pastor is in front and says, you should not lie, you should not steal, you should not cheat, and so on and so on. When you do that, you will have trouble with the Almighty One. So Graham said, I don't want to have trouble with the Almighty One. And so, because, and he looks to Joel and say, did you hear it? You will have trouble with the Almighty One. And because you saw him and he was also afraid that don't want to have trouble with Almighty One, you could be sure that he is not treating you. Because when he was treating you, then he had problem, and he don't want to have problem. And the same to you. Do you see the concept? The fear of God holding the society together. And when the preacher could teach somehow there is a law over people, but we are responsible to then it can hold a society together. And this law is not just the fear of God, like I have the fear of God or not. It's sometimes also we misunderstanding something. It needs a written law. And so, what was the written law?
You shall not steal.
No, but what's then the written law generally? Was the Bible, or the Bible, or the law of the Bible, who then came and helped that we really could solve this problem of freedom and order. And the Bible was the only source who could do that. So now we're going back to a democratical system. And today we think democracy is the guarantee of freedom. Yeah, okay. But you know that democracy is coming from the Greek. I have a little film. Do you want to see the film?
Yes.
Sure. A little film to explain to you what democracy is, but I have to turn on the sound, huh? Good. Just to do the debate about that. Oh, why it's not from the beginning?
The word democracy comes from the Greek words of demos, which means people, and kratos, which means power or rule. So democracy basically means the rule of the people. Democracy first started as a direct democracy in Greek cities, notably ancient Athens, where people came together to speak about their concerns and opinions in front of rulers of the city-state, and directly voted on new rules and laws. Here is considered as the birthplace of democracy. For the very first time, decisions were made by the people instead of rulers. But sadly, the ancient Greeks did not see all people equally. Slaves, women, children, and the people who did not have a land weren't allowed to vote. This is what we call a flawed democracy today. After the Greeks lost their power and influence in the 1st century AD, their early forms of democracy were also fading away until the Magna Carta was signed in 1215. Which prevented the King of England to do whatever he wanted and said that even the king had to follow the country's rules and laws which were written in the Constitution. Today, most democracies are indirect or representative, which means that you can't vote for a new law yourself, but you can vote for people who then become lawmakers and present your interests. But democracy isn't just about voting. It's about everything to protect the best interests of the people, no matter what is their race, gender, political opinion, or religion. These interests can be human rights, quality of life, infrastructure, and many more. Modern democracies divide power into 3 different branches: the legislative, the people who make the law; the executive, the people who make sure that you obey the law; and the judiciary, who judge you if you commit a crime. These 3 are independent and work following the process, checks and balances, which means all the work must be clear and fair. And very important, the people who have power also must follow the law and not exceed their authority. In addition, a democratic government must work in a way that reflects the wish, feeling, desire, and values of the society that it governs. This is also known as the general will, which is a concept developed by the famous Swiss philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau. One of the problems of democratic voting is that the biggest groups of people always have the most power, and that's why a good democracy also has laws to protect the rights of its smaller and weaker groups. A democracy where the majority chooses to separate, expel, or injure its minority is not a functioning democracy. So, what do you think now about democracy? Winston Churchill once said, "Democracy is the worst form of government except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time." Do you agree?
Are you agree? Are you agree with that?
It says what is democracy, so there is nothing.
Also, Churchill, also from England. Yeah. Are you agree? I mean, do you see the problem of democracy? I mean, in the first thing you think, oh yeah, it's good. But then in the end, because the problem of democracy is when there is no law over the people, then actually democracy could mean anarchy. When you have absolutely democracy, like the Greek words say, that people are ruling, then they have no more rules from the authorities. They just rule by themselves. But this is a problem because in a democratical system, when people now can govern themselves, then it's very difficult. And everybody is doing what he wants to do. It ended a bit in a chaos. So Churchill, when do you know Churchill? In the Second World War, I mean, he saw that. I think he was very smart guy. Even I was not so, with his more moral standards and so probably yes, tricky, but I think he was really a smart guy, and he understood something that the democratical system that especially the US really supported that much has also some difficulties. So I would say that from me, democracy is not a guarantee of freedom. Freedom is the guarantee of democracy. That means first we have to know what freedom really means, how we can live in freedom and be in freedom with ourselves. And then we can develop a system, and like democracy, to really help us the best to live in order together. But when we have a democracy, and as a system, and we want to bring freedom in a country, it will not work. And this is the problem. The US, I say now the US, mainly the US was really they were the one who carried the democracy the most. They came to Afghanistan, to Syria, to the Middle East, to all these countries, and they established a democracy, but it didn't work. You cannot put a system of democracy over people. First, you need to change people, and people have to understand freedom before they can establish a democratic system. The same happened in all Africa. Africa became independent from England, from France, from all its colonies, and then they received a democracy, a republic, or whatever you call them. But it didn't function. Most of the times it didn't function. It ended in a dictatorship, or at least in a lot of corruption. As well in India, it's corruption systems. We say from India is the most corrupt nation. They say that about India. I don't know if it is, but it can be because it's the biggest. But I don't know about China and so how you count corrupt. Anyway, but so I think it cannot work just to put a system. We have to really change the people first. They have to understand themselves, the creator, why they are here, the purpose of life, and have to be able to live in freedom with themselves, with their family, and their community. Yes.
How would you see what's going on right now in America, where even trans men are basically saying that they are real men, and that trans women are real women, and so even they're even trying to erase this third category of gender and just make it so it is male and female, and trans men are really men and other way. So and there's been very little from the government that has said anything about it. So what do you think in terms of what freedom is and how that relates to democracy?
That's a very good question. I mean, it shows the weakness of democracy. Or in a democracy, who is winning? You say the 51%, but it's absolutely not true. Who is winning in a democracy? The one who has the most power.
Yes.
The most money and the most power. This transgender, homosexual, I know it from Switzerland. They are under 1%. And they win all the debates. How can they do that? I mean, they with advertising, social media, with all this, and I know somebody who works in television, and they say a lot of homosexual people are working in television. They strategic going to this position and do advertising, influencing you. And it's not about the majority who believe that. I don't think in America that is the majority who believe that. But it became, let's say, political correctness if you not say something against them, or they always show them as a victim, and always that you cannot be against them. And so we lost our, really, we are too much democratical, I think. And we are no more based on there is a truth. And this truth is the creation order. We cannot jump out of an airplane. We cannot debate about that. Should we jump out of an airplane or not? If we jump out, you will die. We have to subordinate under this law of creation. I mean, I think we lost this with democratic. We become too just democracy. Everybody can say what they want. We lost that, and so you see this. No, and I think it's really hard now to stop it, because to stop it means always you are against the people, you are a racist, you are this and that. I know that here, and we did laws here in Switzerland last year. We made I mean, marry of all. I think in England you have this since years old. But now it's also allowed marriage for all, and so, but you cannot really debate against it, even there is only a minority who really do it. But yeah, I think that's the weakness of, and we come closer than what is the other way. Yeah. But that's a hard word to do. Politics is not a system; it is about relationship. So that's, I mean, when we start by a system, then I think that, let's see, we have England, monarchy. Actually, you are not a monarchy, you are a constitutional monarchy or a parliamentarian monarchy. But actually, every system can work somehow good or bad. It's not so necessarily about the system. It's about the understanding of the people, what is really real and what is good and what is true. And also when you look to Norway or Sweden, I mean, the system is not so great, but they're doing great. And so other part, I also think that a monarchy is necessarily bad. But also in a monarchy, we have to look on different things and not just on the system. But here, a Swiss, do I have the name here? This is God Help. It's a name. It's a really famous Swiss parliamentarian, but he also he wrote a lot of books, and these books are they made film out of these books. They are really famous Swiss films. It's really funny to see the films because they all talk about the right moral, about morality, and so he say, God the Lord has put duties first, after duties only comes right, after sowing comes reaping. And I think that's one of the most problem in the world. We all want right, when nobody wants duty. So everybody can now stand outside. The lesbians, they are for their right. They won't say for their right. Everybody is standing up for their rights, and always more minorities will stand up for their rights, And in a democratic system, we try to give everybody rights. But what is their obligation? For me, it's, let's say, this transgender and so, we make so big things out of it. What do they bring to us as a society? Let's turn it around. Not just is it your right, or it's what does they bring to our society when we change that? Or we have to talk about the duties, but we are so trained for looking to our rights. And I also do education for teachers. I look to the curriculum that we have in Switzerland. And so, I mean, today the curriculum is mainly made for finding out what is your right. But it's no more coming to the obligation or entrepreneurship, to taking risk. This is this thing, and I think this is really a wise word. we have first to think not about our rights. We have first to think about our duties. So the Swiss preamble, and Benjamin mentioned that the strength of the people is measured by the well-being of its weakest members. I mean, that's a great statement that stay in our preamble of the Swiss Constitution. And so the Bible was now this who really could bring a solution to all this conflict. There is something standing over man, absolute law, and we all have to, and we have obligation to it. And it's not just our rights. We have rights. We have to obey this law, and only with this, this Bible could bring freedom and order. So let's say in the Reformation time, we were in Geneva or in Calvin. There was a ramp going up to the room of the politicians. So he came with the horse with the Bible in the hand up, and then he stood up and said, "That's wrong what you're doing, because the Bible says this and this and that." So the Bible had the highest authority. Therefore, for the reformer, the Bible is in front on the altar. It's not the church, it's not the priest, it's not the pastor, it's the Bible. And everybody can stand up and say that's wrong what you are doing because it's written in the Bible. The question is, written in the Bible, you know, the problem is everything what we understand from the Bible needs an interpretation. And therefore we cannot just say it's written in the Bible, so we need the right interpretation. And this is another conflict of SBS and so on. But the Bible had the highest value. And Vishal Mangwari said that in his book, it became the academical standard. Because academics need a standard of truth, and everybody is looking to it and say, I see it this way, the other say this way, and then academical debate can start about the truth. But when there is nothing and everybody is just talking about his feeling or what he thinks, then this is not academics. So and the Bible is now this absolute standard to bring the people together. So probably another English, John Wycliffe, this Bible, he translated actually the first Bible into English. So we heard that. It was long before Luther. Before the other translation came before Luther. The Bible is for the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So he's bringing actually the foundation of politics, that it's for the people. So man need actually revelation to really find out the right system for living together. So there are only two political systems. One is built by sinners and one is built for sinners. So the question is, which one do you take? By sinners is controlled by sinners. And so we should, like Churchill still is probably the worst form of government. It's not absolute, democracy is not absolute, but it's the best solution for us to find together. So we were not, we have been in the Supreme Court. We saw this picture, or where the justice is putting her sword down to the Bible and saying that's the absolute, that's the standard. And so the whole Western world is built up on that, and a lot of testaments you see still in Switzerland. Yeah, I think now we do a break. Or do you have a question until so far? Are you still with me? That's good. Okay, we do a break.
Let's take a break, 30 minutes. We'll come back 11:45.
So India is with me, Ibadan. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a break.
Yes. Karen's cooking. Okay, welcome back everyone. India, Nigeria.
Yeah,
Okay, I hope you enjoyed your break.
yeah, we did.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay, the microphone is yours, Markus. You can let.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back. So what did you hear until now from the teaching?
Origin, politics and polis, and what does it actually mean in the Greek and everything.
Democracy,
Democracy.
politics.
So did you understood the problem of democracy and the problem of finding a system that brings freedom and order?
Yep.
I mean, that was a bit the main focus for me. So understand, well, okay, from a secular point of view, finding what can bring us really together, that we have freedom and order. Good. Something else? Other?
As a nation needs people, land, and law, and then different kinds of law, so natural law, an unanointed person, wise council, or a majority.
Yes. Yeah, we need laws, but the question is, where does it come from? So we ended with saying that the Bible brought us. There was nothing else than the Bible, who was something was outside of man, but was a common thing that everybody have to hold to, give responsible to, and be accountable to, and could bring this freedom and order. So and therefore we have this in the worldview school, because I believe we as Christians should understand what the Bible is really doing. And then ending with this quote of Wycliffe, you know Wycliffe here, it's government for the people, by the people, and of the people. No, it's of the people, by the people, and for the people. So sometimes, what means of, for? I'm a bit confused. Yeah, but it's from the people, it's made by the people, and it's for the people. So to live in freedom and so together. Good. Now we coming to the inside of the Bible. So what is, you can say, okay, we have just a Bible, but you cannot smash Bible over the head. You have to understand the context, the inside, what then really make this unity. And so somebody can read that, and I believe that this is one of the main really point of the Bible, who summarize the whole thing together. Can somebody read that? Shane, do you want to read it?
Yeah. God's righteousness to the faithfulness of Jesus is the Messiah for all who believe. There is no distinction among people, since all have sinned and continue to fall short of God's glory. By His grace, they are justified freely through the redemption that is in the Messiah, Jesus.
Exactly. Yes. Perfect. You see, or let's see, this is in the UN building. I took it in the UN building in Geneva. So and you know, can somebody read that?
So God created mankind in His own image. In His own image, God created them. He created them male and female. God blessed these humans by saying to them, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it."
So I think, so there are more verses, but it's a kind of this absolute human rights that everybody have. Let's have the summary. First, we're all king, queen, and kings. I mean, in the beginning, we are all made by God. If you are Muslim, if you are Christians, if you are Catholics, if you are Mormon, I don't know, whatever, but actually all are God's children in the sense, all are created by God. There is only a problem that not everybody believe in this God or want to follow Him, and therefore, you know, all the differences. But actually, we are all created in His image, and so I believe that non-Christians can have as good ideas as Christians, because they are made in His image, and they have the same fulfillment in life. They have the same needs as we have. They have the same feelings as we have, and so this makes us unique. And as well, we know man and women, we're all equal because we're all made by God. And there is no black and no yellow, no white. Every color, everything, everybody is made by God, and therefore we are all unique. This is a really strong statement because in most of the culture is not like this. That not just between men and women, but often the leader is more, and when you think about slavery or about the conflict in countries like Iran between the Persian and the Arabs and the Kurds, the Arab, and all the conflicts, because when you not see we are all in the same image, and they are from this and they are from this, then there is never unity. So actually we are all from the same, but we are all sinners. And therefore, like Jesus said, the one who has no sin should throw the first stone. We are all sinners, and this is true, and this makes us unique. It's not just we are all sinners, it makes us unique, because I cannot say to Graham, hey, yeah, look to your life, you're less because you should be like me. I'm a sinner too. We are all sinners. We have, and Paul said there, we have nothing to be proud of, because all is in the grace of Jesus Christ. And the third one is then we all need these justifications through grace. We all need Jesus. Graham, you don't have more than I have. We stand on the same, and the question is not, are you here and I'm here? The question is, are we on the same direction going to the cross? So these make us unique. We are all the same, made by the same. We all are sinners. Nobody of us is justice, and others are evil. And we are all need forgiveness, and the same forgiveness. There is nothing more. And this made us unique in the sense, and we brought in our human rights and brought out this constitution that we will see later. So somebody can read that quote from me.
Each and every one of us holds equal value and worth, standing on level ground before one another. We all are regarded as princes and princesses of the King, yet at the same time we recognize our inherent imperfections and need for forgiveness.
Yeah, so it's just a summary. What is the source of human rights, or the source of all our understanding, political understanding? But this belongs to a family, belongs to a business, belongs to every sphere. But this makes us unique, and this is what the Bible says. When we don't have the Bible, we do not come to the conclusion that we are sinners. Or are you with me?
Yeah.
And that's a problem. When we don't have the Bible, we don't come to the conclusion we are sinners, and we don't know how we get free of that. We are probably in shame. In a lot of shame's culture, you have shame, but how you get out of the shame? And that is then the advantage of Christians. We know how to get out. And so in a shame culture, you cannot find unity. Then it's always fighting against the other, blaming one another. But actually to know that out of this is not blaming other or hate your shame, you can gain to the cross and you are forgiven. So actually the cross then make this unity that we can all in a society. And when we don't have the Bible anymore, then what is the consequence of it? What do you think?
That we don't know these things anymore, these truths.
Yeah. And what would be the consequences then?
We wouldn't know who we are or in need, or that we're all equals. There's many things.
So you think we are all equals?
Well, like what like the Bible, as you just said, like as we as Christians, we're all made in His image, we're all sinners, we're all justified through grace. So yet, we as Christians are all equals. But then people without the Bible don't know that they're sinners and thus don't know that they need freedom.
Yeah. So the consequence would be that some think we are better than the others.
Yeah.
And this is the conflict that we see in Ukraine, Russia, the conflict everywhere in the world. I think we have to understand that as Christians bring freedom. It is the foundation is in the Bible. The foundation is Jesus Christ, the cross, who made this possible. When we don't have that, then it's always the biggest conflict in the Arabic world is to bring democracy. I would say it never worked. Because what is the problem? The problem for them is that they see themselves, when they have the power, they have to use the power, otherwise others use the power. So the power is the one who can hold the power. They see them better, so they oppress the others. But they never understood that they are equal, that all of them, the power should be shared, and you are made in God's image, and you are somebody not because you have power, because you are made in God's image. And so this idea of what we have in the West, like working in a team, this concept is not in the Arabic world. Or this concept is not in Africa. That's the biggest struggle that we have. In Africa, they say they share the bed with you, but not the ideas. When it comes to teamwork, it's really hard. So I believe that the cross is the fundament of really coming together, seeing us all as equal, have the same values, and see us as all we need salvation. All need the same salvation. There is nobody more and nobody less. Good. A democracy is not made because it's the best system. It's made because we are sinners. Vishamangalwadi. So actually, the problem is we want to give a democratic system to have freedom, but it does not work because we made the system that we can kick out the people in power who do it not okay. The thing here is we have absolute human right, and when the ruler is not obeying them, then we need a bailout. We need something that we can kick them out in a legal way. So otherwise, when you have a king, or how you get out of the king,
He has to die.
kill him, or but it's not legal or moral correct before God. So this was then coming to England, and this is exactly what England did, or with the Glorious Revolution. You know the Glorious Revolution. So the king was willing to give for freely to give the power to the parliament, and then therefore you have a constitutional monarchy today. So the monarch, as the king, the queen, is still there, but as a representative. But the land is ruled by, or the country is ruled by the prime minister and the ministers and the parliament. This was then the idea. So give it for free to people. Yes.
How would you reply to people who say that when people believed in the Bible and were Christians, and so like the UK, like America, it's just such colonization, and then also the genocide of the Native American Indians and things like that. And so how would you talk to them about that?
Yeah. Okay. Also good. I mean, do you say? How can it be when we say we are Christian? Do that. I mean, not everywhere where Jesus is on a T-shirt, Jesus is inside.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a lot of mistakes, and we have to commit to that. I mean, when we look to the slavery, colonization, all of that, then it's true. Because we say we are Christians, that means not that Jesus is in our hearts. This is something that we have to learn. And I mean, the Reformation brought all the ideas, the Glorious Revolution and all that. There was William from Oranien, who then they cheated or make him king in England because he was the reformer of Holland, and then they cheated, brought him as a king, and then he was But this deal was done before he get king, that he give freely this. And this was all coming out of Reformation, the Bible, but with the time the Bible get lost, or the principles were still there, and they called them Christians, but the Bible get more and more lost. And I think it's today we have a lot of Christian principle today, values, principle, but we don't have the Bible anymore. And I think that's the problem. Or then through in the Enlightenment time, there was more the business. We saw this amazing grace, or in the parliament the debate, we cannot abolish slavery because otherwise our economical system will collapse. And so then you see our economical system was higher than the God. And this was the problem one. And so I think we really have to commit to the sin to really can address that. But it's a good question. Good. Yeah, please. Another verse in the Bible would address to politics. Can somebody read that?
Every person must be subject to the governing authorities, for no authority exists except by God's permission. The existing authorities have been established by God, so that whoever resists the authorities opposes what God has established. Those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. Romans 13, 1-2.
This was the big verse in Reformation, or the question, can you resist a bad government? I mean, when a government is no more in a Christian sense, can you really stand up against it? Or the Bible say, no, God puts them in, they have the authority, so you have to obey it. So how is it? This was the debate. And out of this debate came democracy, or the idea, okay, we need a system where we can kick out the ruler in a legal way. Because we are all sinners. That was the biggest revelation, I think, the reformer and especially John Calvin has said, we're all sinners. It's not good when you have too much power. So we need to find, as Christians, a system where we can limit power and can bring people to accountability. Otherwise, it's not good. So it's not good for me and not good for Joel. And Joel, when you have too much power, it's not good for you. Do you know that? It's not good. But this is not something that we just say, okay, we have to believe it. It's not good when I have too much power. Can you say that to your neighbor? Can you say it's not
It's not good for you to have too much
Don't
power.
have too much power.
It's not good for you to have too much power. Leave
Careful
that
about your power,
position.
Simon.
It's not good for me to have too much power. It's really true.
Not good for you to have to give up.
See, that's not a joke. It's really true. We have to believe it. And when we see that we receive too much power, then we have to rethink how we can release it to other people and how we can divide it. And this is one of the biggest things that what I see that most of politicians, most of people, they start good. And then conflicts are coming, and then it's really dangerous. And so it's the question, are they bad people? Not necessarily. But when you have too much power, it's really dangerous. So this was then debate, finding out a system where you can kick out the rulers and also make rules that you can have a revolt. And so this was then coming to a constitution. All this was then regulated in the constitutions. Also growing in the understanding, for me, is how his creation works the best. Or I mean, I was so interested of finding out who is God, does God loves me, and all of this kind. But we really came then through the SPCW to the conclusion or the question: how is his creation works the best? So, what is the best political system that helps that people can live in order and freedom together? What is the best business model that can help that businesses not will become corrupt, that they can serve the people, add value to people, and help the customers, but also help the staff, that the staff can grow, and so on. So in every sphere asking what is the best system, what is a godly system who can help the people the best. So I came to this question, and as I came to this question, I started to be interested in, what is the political system? Is our political system really that it can serve the people, help people? And not just the focus on, do we have moral correct politically politicians or not? That's also a good question, but we should not ignore that. So who he is, who I am. I mean, we have a lot of questions like this, but I think we should also address the other question, and this should be in our daily life, asking these questions for your family, for yourself, for your business, and so on, where you are. Good. Now let us come now to see what was the foundation of this political system that 500 years ago were established in the Reformation. And of course, I believe that is still today should be the foundation, and mostly is, but the problem is that most of the people don't know it anymore today. And we starting to losing it more and more and more. A question? Sure. Okay, so the first foundation of a stable, sustainable political system, I think a nation needs a common law. This came from the Bible, or this idea God said in the beginning, first commandment, you should have only one God. You should have only, and he gave us the Bible, or the Bible became then this one sort from one God, and everybody have to believe it. If you don't have it, then everybody can make his own God. You can say, okay, there is only one God, but it's my God. The other have his God. But so we need a common law, and this came then out in a constitution. So every country today have a constitution, an absolute law, who give us the principle for a country. So, but actually this came out of the Reformation, of the idea that then the Bible became the main source, a law that is over the people and not from the people. Good. Then let's see. This here is now the Constitution of the Swiss, the preamble. The first word is in the name of God the Almighty. The Swiss people and the cantons have the responsibility towards the creation. That's the first sentence. I mean, when you really read that, then it says a lot. What does it say here?
All the Swiss people have responsibility towards creation.
Yeah, when it's a creation, then we refer that there is a creator. Also, we have the responsibility to the creator who created this world. And also the first sentence, we put, what is the source of our constitution? God. And it's clearly visible in our constitution. Even I think 99.9% of the Swiss don't know it or don't believe it. But actually it was the source, and this was for most of the European nations, the Western nations like England, Norway, Sweden, and this was also then represented in the flag. Good, but this is what they discount. It needs an absolute law. It needs only one God that can hold a nation together, and they don't have this vision, don't point to something that's higher than you, then it's not possible. So good, but this gets lost, and I think also when you look to the constitution in Switzerland, that we make now laws that stay over the constitution. I will give you then an example later, but this happens more and more, and not just in Switzerland, because the constitution loses the power. I would say, and in a lot of countries, the constitution don't work anyway. They do everything what's actually would be against the constitution. So, and Switzerland is founded 1291. Also 750 years ago, isn't it? 1240, I let it up to 36, 34 years, 31 years. I don't know. But it was written in the name of God. That's the letter that we have still today. And then it's very, that is very powerful. The public image and well-being requires that the proper establishment of peace is given. As I mean, they say, just in summary, they say, we don't want to have rulers. We rule by ourselves. So God is our ruler, and not king or so. And actually, they established the first modern democracy. But it was not like a democracy that we know today, but they say, no, the people itself, they rule through electing people, sending them to the parliament and so on. Good, and then this is really, I mean, it's blowing up my mind. These regulations show, God willing, endure forever. That's a vision. That's a vision for eternity. For how long should this regulation that they put in order that they, not the king should rule them, not the power should rule them, that they can rule themselves? What do you think? How long? But this is the vision. I mean, this is eternal view. And we never changed the system in Switzerland. 730 years.
Wow.
I mean, it was a clearly modern state, and it's from 1848, but it came together. And we never conquered other countries. I mean, Switzerland grew because other people want to come to Switzerland. and so I think this idea of, hey, we are not ruled by kings or by others, we are ruled by God. And we people can regulate this through election. And I mean, I think they had the idea of Moses.
Yes.
That they say, Moses said, okay, you take people out of 10 and regulate them there, and they cannot put it to higher, and then in the end come to me. But it was this federalistic idea that it should rule from up, down to up, from down to up, and not the other way. Good. Okay, it's just when you want to go for the letter. So when we come now to the independent letter of America, can somebody read that? It was done 1767, Thomas Jefferson.
We hold these truths that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So what does it say?
All men are created equal.
Yeah.
Apart from Native Americans.
Apart from, for the white Americans. No, but okay, leave this out in a moment, but you're right. So, but see, here it says, so we hold this truth that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. So now, this is not in the independent letter today. Do you want to know? Do you want to see what's today in the independent?
Yes.
Okay, now can somebody read that?
We hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are capable by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
So it was Benjamin Franklin who forced them to change it. So what's the difference? What do you see? What's the difference? This is a fundamental difference here. Do you see it? Do you want to read the other again?
Yes. Interesting.
What is the difference?
Self-evident.
What does it mean?
means that it comes from each person. That's where the truth is from.
That's the difference. So he is really, we need revelation from God. We need the Bible. We need that. And then, I mean, this Benjamin Franklin was a theist. You know what is theism?
Believes in God.
Is it distant?
No, theism means we are created by God, but now we have to find our way by ourselves. There is no direct intervention from God, from Holy Spirit or so. So we, and there are no wonders and miracles and all of that. So we have now to, with these principles of God's creation, we have to do it by ourselves.
Yes.
So self-evident. Actually, he say the same as Jean-Jacques Rousseau, we are all made good. Or we are all made good. So it's coming out from, but do you see this different? But I think that's, it's not done in Europe, but this is done in America. And when you look to the Swiss constitution or the Germans or so, it's different. Can you see this? And this is then what find actually then to the Constitution of America. Can somebody read that?
We are the people of the United States. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty, posterity, to establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Do you see the difference? That's now the preamble of the Constitution of America. So, where is God in it? I mean, they took out even the creator, or even to be responsible to the creator, to creation, and they took out God. And I mean, it's come from I mean, what was the date here? 76 to the Constitution 87. They lost God. And for them, it was no more important to put in a preamble of a constitution that God is the source of everything. I think this is how it they took the principles that they found out with say this justice, blessings and liberty, prosperity, and established this constitution. I mean, they took this principle out of the Reformation, but they put God out of it. And I think that's a huge difference between America and Europe. But Europe then became tragic, let's say, enlightenment, because a lot of philosophers then, really twisted our mind. And in the end, we didn't know exactly what we should do. So here in Switzerland, I swear before the Almighty God to observe the Constitution and the law and to fulfill the duties of my office. So what do you read here?
Fear of God.
Also, when you say that, I mean, today it has no meaning anymore, but when you say I really swear before God, then it has a meaning more. So you see how strong it was. This is the same actually in America. You also say I swear before God, but it now changed everywhere. So today the option, somebody can read that. What is the option? You don't have to say that, to swear before the Almighty God. You can also say the other one today. What is it?
I swear to observe the Constitution and the law, and to fulfill the duties of my office constituently.
Conscientiously. Conscientiously.
Also,
difficult word.
they took God out. Do you see? They took out. They have the same principles, and here it's done in the last century, but they took more and more. They took God out of this. They want to have the principle, hold on the principle, but God is losing more and more, and this is everywhere in the world. So we see now the fountain of justice in Bern. I mean, they have the principle that you see the justice is actually not a person, or it's the law. And the law is standing over all the heads under it. I mean, the king and the governors and all of them. So there is a justice over there. But this justice is not, as we saw before, putting the sword down to the Bible and don't have blind eyes. So this justice has blinded eyes. It cannot see. It's no more personal. And he hold the sword up, and of course have to wage up. But it's turned differently. It's coming out from the Bible, but now it's pointing to something else. And this fountain of justice you can find everywhere today. It's no more pointed to God, the same system, but no more with God, without God. So I think that's the first principle is to have a constitution, to have a common law for everybody who's standing over all the people. Yes.
What is the meaning of the blindfold?
That she cannot take party, you know, she can,
To the right, to the left.
take party for this side or this side. That she's absolutely
Objective.
not absolutely objective, yeah. That's the word. And by God it was really different. So in this justice, you remember the picture in the report? She didn't have that, and she put it. But she put it, and she looked what was it, and it's personal. It's not abstract. So objective, you never can be objective. I mean, that's also an illusion. So it's always have to be in a relationship with the truth, with all what you say and do. Good. The first principle. The second one is separation of power. So democracy is not really important, but most important would be after the constitution a separation of power. Because people don't, it's not good when they have too much power. Let's look now to our political system. We have no president, we have a team of 7. And I would say this is really unique in Switzerland. If you do have 7 and they have all the equal rights, there is no one who can say more than others. We have every year a president who represents the country outside, but he cannot do more decisions. He cannot go and debate with Putin and make an agreement. They can only do an agreement what it was first done. They give him the guidelines, what can you do, what can you not do, and everything is discussed in the team. And this is very special because sometimes we know what position they have. Let's say Albert Rösti, it's the second on the left side, standing there. He is from the right party, but he is the Minister of Energy. So, and now in this global warming and all, he have to take the position of the whole team. But his own position, he started the initiative actually against it, and so he is the main head of this initiative, and now he have to present the opposite. So do you see this challenge? But they have to learn to work in a team. And this is, I think it's the best way, that you have to learn to decide together. And when you speak, you not speak your opinion. Do you understand it? It's not your opinion. It's the opinion of the team. And you have to learn to speak, not yourself, you have to learn to speak from your mandate that you have. And this, I think it's really biblical. Not looking to yourself, learn really to what is the best for the people. And this needs I think it needs really high quality thing. And these people, you say that in the beginning, they probably were not aware of the deep conflict, but then they are in, they really learn how to play in a team, because they are forced by the constitution. They are not nicer than other people, but they are forced by the constitution. They close the door, they debate, and when they come out, they have only one voice, and it's not allowed to say something against it. Yes. What happens if they can't reach a common consensus? They are 7. they do it democratically, 3 to 4. I mean, there is always that they will find. That's the reason why they are 7 and not 6. Or some in our state government we have 5. Some we have only 5, but always not always an equal number or an even number. So that in the end you always find a conclusion. So that's also, yeah. But I think it's the best, and this is a high quality of learning about Jesus Christ. Hey, it's not about myself, it's about presenting our common view. But it's hard, it's really hard. So, and here is the constitution. The Federal Council decided as a colleague and communicate in unity. I mean, that's written in the constitution. So they are forced to do that. When they not do it, they get blamed, and so they cannot allow it. Sometimes it's really tricky. They give an interview, and then it's a huge thing if they do something like that. Or here, there's also in the constitution, the Federal Council consists of 7 members. The members of the Federal Council are elected by the Federal Assembly after every renewal of the National Council. This is very important. So the Swiss say, in America, who is voting for the president?
The people.
The people, not in Switzerland. Because they say, when the people will vote, then let's say the president is looking for votes. He's traveling around to do a lot of advertising and PR and so on to win people and spend a lot of money, spend a lot of time. It cannot be done in Switzerland because they get voted by the parliament, and all of the parliament, they know them before for 4 years, and when you not have favor in the parliament, they will not they will not vote for you. You cannot do advertising. Also, of course, you can, but you have to do it over years. and so the Swiss thought, no, it's better to have this system that they really can do the work and not take care of their elections. Because when you have a system like America, then it's all, the election is so big thing, and 1 year before the elections, the president has only to do that. So it's so occupied with this. Yeah. So the care must be taken to ensure that the regions and regions are adequately represented. I mean, that's also a rule that we have 4 languages, and we have different. We have more the French. They are more liberal. We have the Italian. They are even more liberal. Then we have the German, who are really strict and orderly, but all have to be represented. So this is the constitution, and there, of course, it has laws who regulate it a bit more. But I think this is really important that we look for how this separation of power, how is the power separated. And this should be in Wawa, this should be in a family, that we think about that. So you see now here are the ceiling of our government building. These are the 25 cantons, and in mid is Switzerland. So, and when you close this, it say this unus pro omnibus, onus pro uno. And it means one for all and all for one. And that's the slogan that the Swiss have. And this is made in the government building. It's from the beginning. Or let's say we are, and this is presented in the government system or in the ministers, but also in the elections. In everywhere we have this system of we want one for all and all for one. So when you want to become elected to the parliament, you cannot win for you. You first have to bring a vote to the party, and you have to be in a party, and when the party has enough seats, then you can probably be voted. So first, it's not about you. First, you have to take care about the party, and then take care about you. Do you understand that? I mean, this is what we have to find out in our system is how does it working? Because this is really interesting. So separation of power, you know that here that we have these judicative, executive, and legislative. You heard about that? Mm-hmm. It was coming in the video, so we will see a bit more about that. So general, the executive, it's the one who put it in practice. The executive, they do it, but they cannot do a law. The law is done by the legislative. That's the parliament. So they do a law, and when there is a law, let's say it's a law about cars or something, then the government can react or can do that, can put it in practice. And then the parliament is testing them and say, oh, okay, no, you did it wrong. And then they have to adjudge it or something like that. And then we have the judiciary. This is the law. Also, this is then the court. When there is a conflict between the executive and the legislative, then there will be a judiciary who regulate it according to the law. Or when there is a conflict between people and the government, or people and people. So this means separation of power. And the executive cannot really make laws. It cannot say it's something right or wrong. They just can do it. The legislative can only make a law and say what's the principle, what's the value, but cannot decide is it right or wrong. So it's only the judiciary who can then decide, okay, it's right and wrong. And when this is really functioning in a system, let's say in Africa, normally it's not really functioning, then it's really a good system. So it's separated, because when it's not functioning, then the executive can manipulate the laws and makes the laws to protect themselves and so on. When we in Bern, we saw this Moses fountain. I don't know if you saw it, and he's putting to the second law, and probably you know what the second law is. Do you know what is the second law?
You shall have no other gods before me.
Yeah. Or you
should not make a carved image.
Yeah, you should not make the carved image. I mean, that was then the idea why they put Moses there, putting on the second law, because it's the idea that nobody can make an image of the whole reality. Nobody is able to do that. So we need a. Yeah, this is a wrong translation from the Bible. So it's in some Bible translation it's could translated like there are shining. I don't know exactly, but don't worry about that. The idea is you cannot make your image of reality. We need one another, and therefore power has to be separated, because nobody is able to see the whole picture. And so that's like the fundament of the second law of the Bible, that we need is separation of power. Then we have a separation in a horizontal way and in a vertical way. In a horizontal way, there has the executive, the legislative, and the judicative. But what do we have in a vertical way? What would it be?
I'm thinking like from the bottom, so-called the people, and then above is God. But
no, the vertical way is yesterday we had the assembly of our village association. And so we have the village association, and for something we can regulate it by ourselves. When it's too much, then it will be regulated by the community instead of. So, and when it's too much there is regulated by the state, and when it's even higher, then it's regulated by the nation. So you bring the decisions as close as possible to the people. That not the decision is made in the government of the nation or the farmer on the field, because they have really a long distance of relationship, and yeah, they don't see probably the needs of the people. Does it make sense? So
Yes.
we call them federalistic state. And so we in Switzerland have very strong federalism. That means some will say that, or most of the taxes go in where? To whom? Most of the taxes.
To the state.
To the state, not to the nation, to the state.
Yes.
And then also taxes goes to the community. So there is, you see, the power is not just in the big, the nation. So this is when it's going really down. So I think we are one of the most federalistic states in the world, where the power is not just in the highest level. So the third one, I think, coming also from the Bible, is transparency and accountability. That's very important. So because you can have this separation of power, but when there is no testing of it, or it will not work. Let's say here, responsibility in our constitution. Can somebody read that?
Federal Assembly control and exercises the Federal Council and the Federal Administration. The federal courts and the other bodies responsible for federal tasks.
Yeah, so it's always a testing. So the parliament is testing what they are doing. And this is the main task of, or one of the main tasks of a parliament, to control them. And so they have to give account to everything what they are doing. There is no secret about the law. That's also in our constitution. You saw these two men in front of the government building? Or do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was the two men represent?
I remember the one on the right, that it's transparency for everyone to see. Don't remember the one on the left.
The order is there is all recording. So everything what is said is recorded. Everything what said you can also watch in television in the parliament is open, is public. And every vote, when a parliamentarian vote for something, you can exactly know this person vote yes or this person vote no. So it's absolutely transparency. And this is very important, that we have to give this accountability and responsibility. Yes. So here state action must be in public interest and balanced. And this is all the constitutional laws, they are the foundation that somebody from the parliament can come and say, hey, that's the constitution. And this is not in the balance of the best for the people, therefore we excuse that, it's not good, and then there is a debate. So do you see how strong this is in the constitution? So the last one is we are not unique, but we are strong in this referendum. Probably heard about that we can have a referendum. Does it?
Yes.
So referendum means parliament is doing a law. I am not agree with it. I can select 50,000 signatures, and then there will be voting, Swiss-wide voting. And when the Swiss say yes or no, then this is absolute. Parliament can no more be against that.
You can select these signatures?
Yeah, 50,000 or what?
Anybody.
Any, like a no.
All the Swiss. You need to be Swiss.
Okay.
Okay, you need to be Swiss and living in Switzerland.
But
No, I think you don't have to live in Switzerland. But you need to be Swiss.
Okay.
But it's a bit problematic to collect signature from people who are not living in Switzerland.
Yes, but you don't need to have like politics connection or something.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's what.
You just But see, that's direct democracy. It's and you can do also a referendum in England
Yeah.
but it's not so common and it's not so easy. But actually, we have the right, and like some will say, 4 times a year we have the chance to do that. And I can bring you some wheat for let's see, I'll have to see if I find some from the last time. But then we have to, it's 4 or 5 things that we have to say yes or no. And so we as people have the highest authority in Switzerland. We are over the parliament. And when we are against that, then we can say yes. Or there is also that we can change the constitution. When I say I want to change the constitution, let's say there was once people say, in constitution it should say it's not allowed to build a minaret. Minarets are not allowed to build. So they collect 100,000 signatures, there was a voting, and do you want to know the result?
Yes.
What do you think? Yes or no? Did they forbid to build minarets in Switzerland or not? As a parliament was against it, but the people won. And now it's not allowed to build a minaret in Switzerland. That's in the constitution of Switzerland. And this is so how we as Swiss can really change our constitution, and also can really be involved in politics and change the laws. So this is called direct democracy, and also Switzerland is therefore, I think, is very strong in that. But you can also then research in your countries, find out how is it possible in your country to do it. Also, this is from Benjamin Levy. He said, the question is, the question to ask those in charge to ensure that have a stable democracy. Also, what do you have to ask yourself if you think you want to have a strong, stable democracy? So the first one is, what power is given to you and what not? And this was what is not, you should not take. So everybody of us have to ask, what is my power? What can I take and what should I not? And this is also for businesses, for family, for everything. And we have the tendency to take too much power. But this is one. The second one would be, who gave it to you? I mean, did you take the power just by yourself? Or who gave it to you? And when you don't find the answer to this question, then you are in danger. So in political system, you can say, yeah, good, people vote for me, or this mandate, I do my work. Here in WAWAM, you also should ask this question, who gave you the power? And when you can answer this question, it's very difficult. Then you take it by yourself. So, and this cannot sustain. That's what Benji said. In whose interest do you use it? So when you have power or you have a mandate, so in whose interest do you use it? It's not for you. It's not to receive power. So you need to be able to answer this question. For who you do it? And when you say for yourself, just want to be in front, want to have power, want to have money. When you can answer this question in the right way, then it's not going to have power. So, to whom you are responsible? And you should answer this question on every level, not just in politics. You have to find it. When you are not know to whom you are responsible, then you are in danger, man. We are all in danger. Do you believe that?
Yes.
We are in danger. We need to give accountability. So this is really important. And the last one, how can people get out of you? I mean, and there is no way that people can kick you out when they are no more satisfied with you. Then it's not good. Then you have too much power. So you should even, let's say, in a school, SPCW, people should kick you out when they are not satisfied with you. No, it's really good. It's healthy. You have to think. You have to think. When you see these people are no more happy with you, then probably you think you have to think. No, really do think. Just hold the people there will be not sustainable.
Yeah. Also, I think you really miss the goal when you are there just because you want to be there.
Yeah,
I don't think you're really doing.
Yeah. So this is just 5 here from Dr. Benjamin Levy. So people receive power to empower people. So I think this is the summary for this morning. I think we have to also first my principle. So a common law is the first thing what we need. We need a common law for living together. That is for family, for businesses, and we saw that yesterday by Jürgen. You need values in a business to say who are belonging and who are not, what we are doing, what we are not. So you need action values. You need a common. Second one, the separation of power. You have to make sure what is the separation of power. Or do you have too much power? Or do you have people too much power? It's very dangerous. Secondly, accountability and transparency. So to whom you are accountable, to whom are people accountable, and is it transparent what they're doing? Do we see the budget? Do we see no? Transparency about the bookkeeping, about accounting, about the schedule, what are you doing? And all of these things are really crucial things for when you want to have influence, then you have to grow in that. So therefore, the best idea is a democratic system based on a constitution with separation of power, elections of representatives. So they came out of this idea, and they are from the 3 first commandments of the Bible. Do you see that? The first one is you should only have one God. The second one would be, what does it say in the second law?
You should not have any image carved.
You should not do an image of something else than God. I mean that you are not able, that nobody is able to have the whole truth to make an image of, so that everybody needs one another. And the second one, the third law, do you know the third law of the Ten Commandments?
You should not take the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah, you should not misuse the name. And this is, because we all can misuse the name of the Lord. Do you know that? That we can, how we can do that? How we can do that?
Misuse the name of the law?
Yeah, how can you misuse the name of the Lord? Or I mean, not. What was the correct for this?
You should not use God's name in vain.
In vain, no. How can you do that? So why is it in the Bible? When it's in the Bible, then we should know what it means. No?
Because God's name matters. His name matters. Like, to take it seriously and to uphold it, and don't just use it as a curse word. Use it around. It has this importance in the name.
Yeah, that's often what Christians say. I don't know. Of course, we should not misuse the name in this way. But I think the application of it would be much deeper to say, when a pastor is preaching from the pulpit and say, God's told me this or that, and it's actually not true, then it's using the word of God to manipulate people. Or let's say a policeman is stopping people and receive the fine, then he's misusing his position that God gave him. So he misusing God's name for his purpose. And the politician can misuse his name in the sense he received, we read that in the beginning with Romans, or God gave him the position, or God put this in charge, but you can misuse the name when you misuse this position for your gain. And so God say, no, I put it in the 10 Commandments, don't misuse my name. I give you position, you have authority, but don't misuse it. You can misuse it as a father, you can misuse it as a mother, you can misuse it as a boss, and a politician, and so on. And I think that's the application that we should then be. How can we make sure that this not happen is when we are accountable and transparent. And not just we Christians always think, we are we be morally good people. But the Christians 500 years ago understood we need a right system to hold our sinners accountable. And so transparency is one of the most important things that you can misuse the name of the law. So I would say these three, or democracy is coming out of these three laws of the Bible from the 10 Commandments that hold really a political system together. So we can probably look quickly in the Constitution. You can then do in your group works once look to the Constitution. So what is in the Constitution? Do you know that? What is in the Constitution? First is the preamble, shows the foundation. In the Swiss, it say in the name of God, and sadly in the American Constitution, it didn't say that anymore. But it say, what do we really want? We want to have freedom, and we have to obey the Creator, and we are responsible to the creation. That the Creator. Good. And then part 1, that's now the Swiss Constitution. Part 1 is general regulation, purpose of the state, and position of the cantons. So you heard that we have the state, we have the cantons, and we have the communities. So the whole regulation about that, and what are the state is responsible for, and what is this the nation responsible. Then restricts and fundaments and rights. This is what we will talk tomorrow about. I mean, we need actually human rights, but often people say, human rights, but also we need obligations and not just rights. And so in the Constitution, both are in the restricts and the fundamental rights. And then the last part is then regulation, freedom, regulation, federalism in Switzerland, regulation, direct democracy, also about the initiative and referendum, the regulation of the separation of power, and the regulation of the possibility of revising the Constitution. So you see, actually in the Constitution is a lot about the structure. Who is responsible for who, and who has to give account to whom. And a bit less about, let's say, we think about human rights, or often we think that the biggest law is the human rights. But actually, it's very important to have to understand the system, the regulation, who is responsible for what. So this is then what you also can find out by yourself. Good. So my question to you, so what can you take with you? Maybe you can write it down here. What can you take with you? What did you learn this morning? What does it say to you, or what do you see? It's really something that I want to study more, or something. What really spoke up to you?
That it's important to take into, or that's why we have democracy, but it's important to take into account who you're making the government for. What the people really reliably are like.
Can you write it, or should I ask? Who wants to write it? Also, So can you summarize again what is the things that you write down? Shane?
We need to realize people aren't perfect, I guess.
Yeah, this is really good. We are sinners. That's this understanding is really bring us unity. If we know that we are all not perfect, we are sinners. Okay, something else.
I think the beginning of police, which is actually bringing order, and that actually starts with you and with your family, and yeah, then it goes to much more higher level.
Thank you. That's good.
Coach Ibadan or
Yes, please.
Coach Ibadan or
Kochi, I mean,
Coach Ibadan.
You both, yes, please. Coaching or Ibadan, you can also Indian, India or Nigeria, you can also speak out. So what spoke to you?
Okay. My take home today is that despite all the systems of government that we have, my take home is the two political system, the one that is built by sinners and the other one that are built by saints. Because the truth is, we might have the structure on the ground, but if we are not transformed from the inside, we will still abuse the power. So my take home is sinners and saints. Where you are determines the system that you will build. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And so I said, even you have a system built up by sinners or for sinners. So, but this is what you say is also good. So it's just if you build up we are sinners, we don't know it, and we build up a system, or are God gave us a system because we are sinners? This is I wanted to say. But thank you for the feedback.
Question, please. We are having a question.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you very much for the lesson well taught. But my question is this: having looked into politics, it needs to do with the decision making too, among some groups of people. Now, the first question there is: can we now say that politics is not limited to the government? Can it be done among the family members, among the church members, and some set of groups? That is number one. Then number two, looking into our political system in the country, Nigeria, is being, jam-packed with some set of people that have been in occultic level, to the extent that if Christians want to participate nowadays, then you need to go into covenant with those occultic people. Now, my question there is, what should Christians do in a situation like this?
Yeah, very good question. Other the first question, I really believe politics is for every level of society. Of course, politics, we understand government and nation, but the term bring order is we have the obligation to do it in our families, in ourselves, everywhere. So, but we don't have necessarily to call it politics, but actually it's the same with the same principles as we do in politics. So that's the first question. I hope the first answer to your question. I hope it's okay. The second one is more complicated. Like Benjamin Levy say, we are called to go out and be a light in the world. I mean, that your political system is probably corrupt and it's really tricky. It's true. But when we are not going as a bringing light to the world, then of course. So we have to be a light, but it's not easy to go there as a Christian. I think it needs not just passion to say I go there. It needs a team who's standing up and say, yeah, let's go there. Let's change that. It needs prayer in the church about it and be really wise to do it. But actually, we have to stand up and be light in the darkness. That's our goal. Yeah, is this a good question, or like Ibadan, you can give a feedback? Or otherwise, we can take another one. So what spoke up to you, or if you have a question, then please let me know. India, do you want to say something?
You said about there are two types of political system. One is it is built for the sinners. Another one is sinners build it. So can you explain about the two political systems?
Yes. So you can write us up, but it's already here, so it's built up for sinners. Or what do we have? Yeah, we are built up. We already have that. That's good. Yeah, it's built up for sinners, and I think it's one of the most important things that we know that we are sinners. And this brings really unity in a community. Thank you.
Excuse me, Markus, actually he asked you to explain that.
Explain the difference between for the sinners and by the sinners.
Oh, okay. Also, again, I mean, it's a bit, yeah, it's, so by the sinners mean, it's done, a system is built up by sinners, but they don't know that they are sinners, that they build up the best system, or they are sinners, but they don't know exactly as sinners, they just, it's humanity, or it's a humanism. They build up a system by themselves. Or the other way is, so the system is for sinners, it's given for the sinners. It's coming from God, giving for the sinners. Because we are sinners, God gave us a system that should function this way. Because we are sinners. Does it make sense? So the second part know that they are sinners, and they know we need revelation to understand how we can deal with one another. And the others don't know it and build up a system just the best way that they should. Does it make sense? Moni, does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, please give me a feedback if you have another one, or what was important for you.
Yeah, I just want to give a feedback actually. Thank you once again. It's a kind of giving a right understanding for us about the politics, not in detail, but yeah, we got an idea a bit about the politics in Switzerland, the base of it, how it stands in the Bible. And also, I heard it very well when you say balance is needed between freedom and order. So I think everything else falls under this thing. When you had a right balance between freedom and the order, I think everything else can go in a right. So that is the point. Actually, is the main takeaway for me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really important that we as Christians understand that it's not just morality or we look too much on morality, I think, because we need also a system, because we are sinners, a system that holds us accountable and let us not go too far to misuse the name of the Lord and so on. And this is really important to have a system. So, yeah, to really have the balance between this freedom and order. Because when everything is regulated, then it's really not good for us. Good. Something else?
Thank you.
Thank you. George, do you have something? Okay, thank you very much for your assistance. Yeah, I hope it really helped you to understand.
He said no.
No. Okay, no, that's okay. No,